Hello, Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs. Welcome to your September monthly tarot reading. We're going to talk about love, relationships, career, money, finance, anything that wants to come through for the sign of Scorpio or those who resonate strongly with Scorpio. Highly recommend for these readings you watch your rising sign because that's sort of what I'm basing it off of. This will be a general message for Scorpio out there. Please come into the reading with an open heart and an open mind, a desire to learn something and better yourself. If the messages that come through don't resonate, feel free to push them aside. You may wish to revisit them at a future date. Sometimes tarot messages make more sense in the future. You are accountable and responsible for all your own actions and decisions. That being said, let's try and have some fun and get you some helpful, insightful messages. All right. So anxiety at work, let's talk a little bit about that. That's the first thing that really caught my eye. Let's see. I don't know why I want to start there, but I do with the Nine of Swords. I believe that the planetary connotation to that is, I believe, Jupiter and Gemini. So it's the idea of Jupiter meaning that like an abundance of or lots of sword energy, air, which is like thoughts or decisions that need to be made. Sometimes it's just sort of our inner voice kind of running amok, stressing about things that haven't even manifested yet. Let's get a little bit more. There could be some issues with communication with your boss. I'm sort of getting the idea that maybe you've been butting heads with someone you work with. And yeah, it's almost like you don't feel like you're being seen or you don't feel like you're being recognized. And I'm not sure if there's like a bullying mentality or this person is just simply busy and hasn't been giving you the time of day. The good news with that is that there's going to be a full moon in Aries, I believe at the end of the month. I need to look that up because it keeps coming up in the readings. I think it's like September 29th or 28th. But anyway, there's going to be a full moon in your sixth house in theory for my Scorpio risings anyway. And so something about that is going to come to an end. And I think it's going to bring relief. But in terms of what can help you in the meantime is sort of blocking out the unhelpful thoughts that you're having. Again, that internal monologue of, oh my God, they don't like me or they don't see me and this and that. They don't think I'm doing my job. Or the opposite, maybe casting sort of like negative thoughts towards them. Like, they're not a good boss. They're not a good leader. As much as you may struggle to right now, I would encourage you to lean into the good aspects of it because there's especially the money, it's allowing you to live, it's allowing you to have the lifestyle you want. Maybe it's not as much money as you would like, but I'm hearing the word like stepping stone. Something about this is a stepping stone, and it's also a really good lesson. Or I don't want to say lesson because it sounds like you have to be schooled in something, but it's a really good opportunity for my Scorpios to be able to understand that when emotions arise, we don't always have to honor those emotions as truth. Sometimes there's like an unusual vibe and you guys are very sensitive to, crowds and people in your environment. So sometimes you're picking up on a vibe and it may feel almost as if it's being directed towards you, when in reality, it might not be. It could be that the person or the people you're with are just having a weird day or, there's energy in the air that isn't particularly pleasant. But for you, it's almost like you're directing that inward and you're taking responsibility for why I do think it's your boss, or maybe a coworker who's a fire sign, possibly a Capricorn or a Cancer. Anyway, the sign doesn't really matter. But yeah, it's a good lesson in understanding when thoughts or feelings, we'll say both, arise. We do really need to kind of understand what thoughts and emotions we're going to put stock in, what we're going to give value to, and understanding what we can release and not take on as a responsibility or a burden. Because, people are moody. People change their mind about things. People are on one day and off the next. And I mean, this more than any sign, Scorpio, right? I mean, there is an extremity sometimes in Scorpio energy. And sometimes that's a high vibe thing, but it can also be a low vibe thing too. And I just feel like you feel like excluded or left out. I don't think it's like bullying per se, but it just feels like you're not part of the group. I don't know if you're the new person, or there's something unique about your circumstance, but that will pass. In the meantime, your advice is Two of Swords, which is just like block it out. Try your best not to let those thoughts keep you up at night. With the Nine of Swords, there can be kind of like a self-sabotaging kind of, not intentionally, but I see it being something that it's like you just can't stop thinking about it. And with Scorpio, that word obsession can be, very key. So it's like things we're going to obsess over. It's just not worth it, especially if it's not contributing to anything positive in our life. So the ability to understand it, and then Eight of Swords, choose to step out of those thoughts, choose to walk away from them, because unless there's fact or truth behind it, we don't really need to act on it. But we do need to have some sense of clarity, and again, what's good for our health. So let's see. I do feel like you have someone who, oh, actually, okay, so this is in regards to the same storyline. Some of you may, it might be helpful for you just to talk through what you're feeling with someone. Now, that could be a counselor, that could be another coworker, that could be a friend. I would suggest maybe someone who's a little bit more non-biased and at a distance. So I wouldn't necessarily say talk about it with your best friend at work, because it's a little bit too close to the source. I think having an outside perspective or an outside opinion would be helpful, but again, maybe someone who isn't directly involved in the situation or knows that person. I think it would actually help really open up your perspective and get more grounded, and sort of back in touch with reality of like, okay, I'm here to do a job. They're paying me to do it. That's what this is. And I don't need to be buddy with my boss. Like, do you know what I mean? Some helpful insight that would kind of get you through the situation. All right. So since we're on the topic of work, let's see here. So you do have the sun, in regards to money and finances. So to me, the sun always indicates growth, and prosperity, happiness, joy, especially if you're in something that's creative or involving children, or something maybe spiritual, but also, what's the word? I'm dancing around it. It's something that sort of lights people up, something that inspires and motivates people, sort of the idea of like a coach or something like that. It doesn't literally have to be that. But yeah, for a lot of you, there seems to be some sort of opportunity where you may end up taking on more of a leadership role, or something maybe a little bit more centrally focused on you. So I don't know if you're a team leader, or you're taking people under their wing, or you're helping to educate or teach people, or something of that nature. Certainly you don't have to be pursuing that, but if that opportunity comes along, I think it would be a really good fit, and I think there would be good money in it. But then you definitely have some nines here. So nines indicate ends of cycles. So we did talk about sort of maybe this anxiety or something keeping you up at night. The thing is, from what I see in the cards, I don't sense stress about money per se. It's interpersonal relationships that are the struggle here, because it feels like you're being blocked from something you want, or something you're trying to go after. And in order to get there, it's almost like you see someone as being like a gatekeeper. It's like, well, I have to be in with this person if I want to get that. Not necessarily. I think that's a very like one-dimensional or one-sided way of looking at it. And also do keep in mind, like, roles change, leadership changes. So just because you're stuck with a coworker or a person that you're not thrilled to be with, that doesn't mean that things aren't going to shake up in the future, and you might be assigned to another branch or another location, or a boss may move in or out, or you may get the promotion. I want to be clear, I don't necessarily see that right now. There is sort of a little bit of a fixity with sort of some Leo energy coming in, so it's kind of about grinning and bearing it a little bit. But there is like, there's some connection here that is going to be helpful. I don't know if it's presented yet. I also think the idea with the Five of Cups, it's like we're so worried about lost opportunities or missed connections, or the promotion that we didn't get, that we are failing to see other opportunities or avenues that are very positive and that are being presented to us. or that can be manifested in the near future. But yeah, there's definitely a little bit of like sad sack wallowing in sadness energy, and I don't mean that as a criticism to you. If anything, I'm kind of like, oh man, like let's try and fix this for you. But tarot is supposed to be a reflection of ourselves, and so because you're in this energy, you also have to remember that you have the power to pull yourself out of it. So I want to remind you of that. Yeah, to me, it's like there might be a better match or a better fit, another project, another team. I'm not sure exactly what this is, but it's not presenting with clarity right now. With the Seven of Cups, it's like keep your options open. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. I've been telling people that a lot lately. It's possible that through a mutual friend of yours, another opportunity may present. It's also possible a friend may join the team you're on, and that may shake up the dynamic and the vibe a little bit. I wouldn't say count on that, right? But yeah, there's something about having some people in your corner is going to help, and I think it raises your confidence. But I'm also going to flip that around and say, but this is a really good opportunity for you to understand that sometimes you're meant to stand alone. And even though that's not the most comfortable thing to do, it'll become your strength and your superpower, a strong streak of independence, which I think Scorpios tend to have anyway, but everyone's a little bit different. So I'm not going to make that general assumption for everybody. But yeah, feeling like it's okay to branch off on your own, or maybe be sort of very independent or entrepreneurial even, right? There's something about sort of your solitude is what's being focused on in the workplace right now, but some of you are like fighting it tooth and nail. Like, I don't want to be off on my own. I don't want to be in a different location from everybody else. I don't want to be the one person who doesn't work remote. I don't, whatever it is, it's like there's something very individualistic about your workplace or your livelihood right now, but you don't seem down with it at all. It just seems like you're really like sad about it and feeling excluded and not part of the gang. So I will say, with the Nine of Wands coming through, I think what that is indicating, that's Moon in Sagittarius. So like a natural desire to be curious, to be a seeker, to, be educated, to obtain knowledge, really, right? We think of Sagittarian energy, it's mutable fire. So there's always something to be seen. There's always something to be learned or understood or known. And so you can't stay put in one spot. That is sort of in direct contrast to the Sagittarian energy, right? It values its freedom. It likes to be free. It likes to wander. It likes to have fun. It likes to be curious. I always kind of associate it with sort of like the adventurer of the zodiac, right? They'll just, they don't even need to pack up a bag and go. They just go. Like when opportunity knocks, they definitely answer. So with that, I think the universe is saying opportunity is going to knock. Again, you have to have faith. That's a huge, huge word associated with Sagittarian energy. You have to have faith that something good is going to come along, but in the meantime, we can't just jump ship or, resign ourselves to this life of sorrow and pity because we're not getting what we want. The tides are changing. It's just, I feel like, absolutely, with the Queen of Cups, the tides are changing. But I feel like it's not going at the pace that you want it to. And, Scorpio is a Mars-ruled sign. So, especially with Aries ruling your 6th house for my Scorpio Rising, it's like you want that fast pace. And right now it's just not that. And I feel your frustration, totally. But yes, Sagittarius is a sign that has to have faith. We associate it so much with the idea of, luck and good fortune. And, we tend to think of it as a very lucky sign. I think really what it is many Sagittarians, they're just naturally sort of born with this optimism, this kind of lighthearted, everything will work out. And when you think that way, more often than not, things do. So it's easy to chalk it up to, oh, they're so lucky, things always work out for them. And I don't know why I'm projecting it as them. Maybe you have strong Sagittarian in your chart. I mean, especially if your 10th house is ruled by Sag. But really, to me, it comes down to just that faith that things will work out, and then they will, or they do. And that's in direct contrast to this Nine of Swords, Gemini, fretting and worrying about everything, because if that's what you're focused on, that's what you're going to manifest, that stress and that chaos. So again, try and see the forest from the trees, step back from it. Again, talk with someone who you consider a I was gonna say a good friend or a cohort, or someone who can give you some outside perspective, or just get you out of that mindset. Maybe you just need to take a mental health day or take some time off. If you can't afford to do that, again, make time for friends when you have a day off. To be honest, though, I'm not getting so much that this is a quote unquote friend. It feels more like a counselor or a therapist, or I'm not sure what scenario this would be in, but someone who isn't necessarily super close to, again, the situation and knows you. All right, so I'm going to wrap up the career. We are going to talk about love in a minute. I'm just trying to figure out what I can tell you in the meantime, because the energy is a little bit stuck. Venus is retrograding in your 10th house. I think that ends, let's see, fairly soon into September. I think it's like the 4th or something. So there is this need to sort of go back and recheck what we're valuing at this job, if we're feeling valued. And then when it starts going direct again, I think those relationships are going to repair themselves, especially if you feel at odds again with, I'm getting very strong fire sign energy. But it's almost like feeling maybe like emotionally manipulated or something. I'm not sure what this person's deal is, but they may be dealing, for most of you, I think, if that makes sense, the storyline about feeling excluded by someone or whatever, neglected, they have their plate full with something at home. I think it has to do with a child issue or child care, or it could be that, even if they're a full-fledged adult, they're the child in a very strained relationship with a parent. Maybe they have an ill parent. There's something to do with like a parent-child dynamic that's keeping them very, very, very busy. And so their focus just isn't on you right now, even though I think you want it to be. It seems like, maybe some of you gave like a killer presentation or did something really wonderful and awesome, and you feel like you're not getting credit where credit's due. Again, have patience, give it some time, have faith that, there will be recognition when it's supposed to, but all I can say is something about this is fated and destined, and it's sort of like we're pushing pause right now. An old friend may come back into your life. It could potentially be someone who wants to kind of court you romantically too. Heavy water sign energy, so Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces. It's interesting. We were talking so much about Sagittarius, and I'm just noticing now you have Temperance coming in like kind of a dynamic or relationship sector. It doesn't have to be romantic, but again, double down on something about the Sagittarian energy or possibly Leo energy. I don't know, I'm really being told to kind of like hammer home. So that idea of fire, going on faith and intuition, and maintaining sort of that lighthearted, we got to keep the fire stoked. We got to keep our energy high. We got to keep our vibe light. We got to keep our vibe high, that sort of thing. This too shall pass. I'm going to leave it at that. So anyway, we're going to dip into romance now. Yeah, I see there being possibly a very healing relationship in your life. It doesn't have to be romantic, but that's what I'm going to start to read for. So do keep in mind this may resonate for you in terms of friendship or a coworker or something like that. But yeah, I see someone who's very playful, and they have sort of this childlike glow about them. They might be very youthful. They have like a little cherub face, almost like, I always hear that Cancer risings or people who have strong Cancer, they have like moon faces, kind of like chubby cheeks, like and it's like the moon, right? Yeah, something about them that I don't know. It's like there's stars in their eyes. It's like they're seeing and experiencing a lot for the first time, and there's just sort of this awe and wonderment about them. And I think you find that very attractive. And I think you may initially find them a little bit too innocent or too, what is a good word? Naive, but there's a lot more layers there. Like you're going to peel the layers back and understand that that's not necessarily like, that's almost like sort of the impression they give off when they enter a room, but it's not necessarily who they really are. This person has like a good soulful vibe. They're very youthful looking, but I actually think they're an old soul, which is kind of an interesting combination. And I don't think you would know it to look at them. They might dress in a very unique or even like bizarre way. But they don't know that. Like it's so normal to them that if you were to mention that, they'd be like, what do you mean? I look like, this is what I always wear. Let's see. So what else about romance? Something about waiting on like a missed connection. I'm not sure what that is, but I don't think you did miss out on it. I think it wasn't meant to be, and so it's making room for this new person to come in. someone who potentially has moved from a different city to your location or your town or your country or something. This person, I don't necessarily think they're like foreign to you in terms of like ethnicity. They certainly could be, but I think it's, it's that they're like new in town, or even if you already know them, it's like they're new to your location. There's something to do with them coming in like physically to your location. Maybe it's someone new at work. I don't know. Yeah, some of you, I think you still look back, potentially on another Scorpio or Pisces, or yeah, a water sign. I don't know. And feeling like, oh, like shoulda, coulda, wouldas, like maybe that could have worked out. Again, there's a lot of cloud and fogginess around it, like not understanding why something didn't work out, especially with a Cancer. And I think the universe is saying in a gentle way, like, it's not really your concern. You don't need to, like, again, Nine of Swords, like beat your brain trying to figure out why things didn't work or how to piece the connection back together. I almost see these two branches as like they ran parallel, but they didn't cross. So it's like someone who you were, next to or close to, or you almost felt like there was a good connection there. It kind of like branched off, pun intended, in a different way. And so you're left kind of wondering like, oh, like when are these lines going to cross again? And I'm not sure they will, but I do really like this connection that seems to be coming in. I'll say soon-ish, in the next 2 months is sort of what I'm thinking. Libra season might be particularly fruitful in terms of relationships. Let's see. There could be some... hold on. I'm going to look at this before I say that. I also think there's a growing distance maybe in a friendship group. It's funny, this message has come out a lot in the last few readings I've done, so it may involve, some of the other signs that I've done, which, let's see, who did I read for? Leo, Virgo, Libra. I don't know why I was told to say that. But anyway, there may be like a growing distance in a connection with a friend, and it might be just getting you kind of down. There's definitely like some heavier energy of just feeling like you're not where you want to be. And again, I'm acknowledging that. I think the universe is acknowledging that. But there isn't this like quick escape route, or there isn't this quick exit plan to shake things up and make it better. There's just something about understanding like, yeah, life has, strikes and gutters. It has, mountains and valleys. And sometimes we just kind of have to keep powering through and wait till things get better. And in the meantime, again, maintain our high vibe as best we can, think positively, work on manifestation. But also, there's something to be said for learning coping skills and strategies for when you're not feeling good, rather than just, up and quit or whatever. There seems to be like a friendship that is maybe a little bit troubling, where you just feel like there's a growing distance, or just that maybe you've changed, you feel like they've changed, probably most likely you've both changed. And I think it's okay to release this with the idea that if it's fated, if it's destiny, you guys will connect again the way you're supposed to. But sometimes giving people space is the right move versus trying to force something to be something that it's not, right? Let this friendship develop organically. And, sometimes we meet people for a reason or a season, right? And there might be a reason why there's a distance. And again, the idea that maybe it has nothing to do with you. Maybe this person is, fighting a battle you know nothing about. So I would say give them the benefit of the doubt. Because really, you lose nothing by trying to be positive and just sort of releasing it and wishing them well. Some of you flat out do have sort of a grudge or a vendetta against this person. I think you view them as being very selfish or unreliable or something like that. Again, your feelings are valid. You're entitled to thinking or feeling or believing that. But again, holding on to that negativity, what is that expression? It's like holding a grudge is like swallowing poison and expecting the other person to suffer. It's not doing anything good for you or your body, so just release it. Try and work through that emotions and find a positive spin on it. Even if that positive spin is just like, hey, you know what? It's freeing me up for new connections and new friendships, right? That's a good way of looking at it. Even if this person is not your favorite friend at this point, which I'm definitely sensing. All right, let's get you one of these energy oracle cards. We'll see what wants to come out for Scorpio. I feel like there's a block connection in the family. There might be an issue that needs to be resolved, and it's kind of in flux right now, so that's going to continue. I'm not even sure really what that message means, but I was just told to touch on it. There's like literally a touchy subject, and it's something you guys are going back and forth about with like a family member or a parent or a child, and it's like it's still being resolved. There might not be resolution in the month of September. It might still require a few more visits and conversations. All right, so for your energy oracle card, attachment, I'm going to read it to you. Perceive need and the choice to let go. In the upright position, this card reveals that your passage forward is being stopped by strong attachments to old patterns or people from the past. The chain at your wrists is bolted to fear from the past or desperation about the future. Although you may wear the mask of pretense or even contentment, you simply can't go forward. The stuff that's keeping you stuck could be physical addictions, emotional patterns, or even old relationships. Are you living in fear, addicted to the old, unhealthy habits, or so desperate about the future that you can't be happy now? Again, being present, that was a big theme in your reading. If so, the chains that bind you could be of your own making. 8 of Swords, 9 of Swords, yep. This card is telling you that it is time to take action you need to break out of your chains and move forward to an open, free, healthy, authentic, happy life. It may take some courage and effort to let go, but know that you are capable of doing it. Until you do, the difficult energy will just repeat itself, keeping you stuck. Yeah, so we already talked about the 8 of Swords and the 9 of Swords, but that idea of just kind of being stuck in like a low vibe, looking down thing, you have to pull yourself out of it. You really do. And be present. And, gratitude is a good way to counteract anything bad going on in your life. Find reasons to be grateful, and then you'll find reasons to be happy, right? Even just the simplest thing, Let's see. I'm going to get you, we'll do one of these cards too. We'll do a couple oracle cards for Scorpio. What else? This is a really cool deck. It's called The Journey. And it's really simple messages, but I just love the artwork. I think it's really cool. I've been using it a lot. Intuition. What a good one for Scorpio. I opened right to it. Love that. Intuition. Life speaks to us and guides us through our intuition. The days when we have the sudden urge to call a friend and they answer, desperate to talk to someone, that is intuition. It often goes against logic, but there is a deeper knowing to that gut feeling trying to get our attention. Intuition isn't something you can force. It arises on its own, but we can become a vessel. Get to know and love yourself, listen to your needs and desires, and stay open. The more we connect with ourselves, the more we connect with this inner knowing. All right, and then last but not least, I've been doing crystal cards for everyone, so for my Scorpio gang out there that's into crystal healing or energy, what energy wants to present itself? Nephrite, protection and balance. Nephrite is associated with the astrological sign of Libra, especially lucky when worn on Wednesday. Nephrite is a protective stone symbolizing life, growth, and abundance. It soothes and harmonizes, bringing disorder into balance, and it is a powerful charm for luck. All right, so maybe get yourself a little tumbler stone of nephrite, Scorpio gang. That's what I got for you guys. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and I will see you very soon for more tarot. Bye.